What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Super Gamer Boys. I'm your host, Colonel and Dad, Garrett Morlang, and here in the virtual studio with me is the king of video games and still resident superstar, Adrian Holmes. What's up, Adrian?
Well, it is a beautiful day in Hyrule Kingdom where I just came from, and it is good to see you, Garrett. You are like the first human face I've seen in about 4 days or so, because I have been in a faraway kingdom trying to figure out exactly what is going on.
No
How you been,
joke.
my good man?
No joke. Yeah, I'm doing good as well, and I'm right there with you. If it was my choice, I know a lot of people are talking about like, oh yeah, I saw people on Twitter taking the day off of work or whatever to go play their video games, play Tears of the Kingdom or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, it must be nice. I take the day off work and I still got a family to take care of. So exactly. That doesn't work for me. So I might as well just go to work at that point. But dude, this game's so good.
It's phenomenal.
I don't know if you realize though too, like it has this really cool clock setting. Does yours have this?
A really cool clock setting.
Yeah,
I have a watch. Mine always says Zelda clock. I don't know.
No, for you YouTube listeners, I was held up my Game & Watch Zelda. That's actually what I've been playing.
Absolutely sick.
I haven't even touched. Oh, by the way, I haven't touched Tears of the Kingdom. I've just been playing the first Zelda game, my Game & Watch. But no, I'm kidding. I've been playing so much Tears of the Kingdom. We're definitely going to be talking about that later on in the show. I love how you completely changed the show notes and it just says what you're playing. He deleted our names and it just says Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. There are no other games. All bold. I'm like,
did I lie?
Okay, all right.
Did I lie?
No, you are completely factual in that statement.
Advance Wars, what's that? Never heard of it.
Super Metroid, what's that? Oh wait,
never heard of it.
Book club game that we got to record like next
Book
week,
club
and I
is
got
now Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh man, I wish. But yeah, good to have you. Oh, sorry. I forgot to introduce. Also joining us here in the virtual studio is the heavyweight bot casting champion of the world, Super Gamer Bot. Welcome in, Super Gamer Bot. Still no synthesized voice for Super Gamer Bot. The AI is still learning. Maybe one day it will come.
It will evolve to speak. It will evolve.
Yes, but for now it's
take over.
Just here in spirit, or in the Matrix. Do robots have spirits?
Maybe we'll have to ask it.
The machine. If you're in the 40K universe, they do. They call it the machine spirit.
Oh.
Not
a dork wouldn't know.
Dang it. Well, today we're going to be talking about if Xbox could actually get Activision. Will this deal finally go through? Maybe, maybe not. Metal Gear Solid's return? ? Game Freak teaming up with Private Division and Nintendo's thoughts on new hardware. But first, let's give a quick shout out to our Patreon producers, Bumple Smash, Eddie Martin, and Kajoma01, and our Super Gamer sponsors, Julie Bates and Mama Mare. If you want to be awesome just like those folks, head over to patreon.com/supergamerboys where you can support starting at just $1 a month. That's right, $1, and you can get episodes early and ad-free, such as this show and Super Gamer Book Club. The episode that came out at the end of last month was Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Me and Adrian jumped into that fantastic game, originally from the DS. Go check out that game for sure, and then come listen to the episode. It was a fun game. A really fun episode to record. If you're on the fence about supporting us and you're like, what is this Super Gamer Book Club all about? You can find it for free. You can get it 2 months later. So if you're a dork and you don't want to pay, $1 for freaking tons of content each month, you can
hours and hours.
You can to listen to it for free 2 months later. You got to wait a whole 2 months. And right now, you got the Hi-Fi Rush episode featuring DJ Trues. Me, Adrian, and DJ Trues jump in there. Another fantastic episode. That game just shadow dropped out of nowhere. It was just critically just well received for sure. It's a fantastic game. And we loved it as well. So again, go check that game out. and then go listen to the episode for free over on all podcast services and over at youtube.com/supergamerboys. Upcoming this month is Super Metroid featuring the Nintendo Cartridge Society. It is
sir.
the final game in the Super Nintendo Holy Trinity. And let me tell you, I surprised at how short the game is. That's for sure. Because before Tears of the Kingdom, this is our new timing scheme. You know how there's like 8 BC and AD? I feel like it needs to be like
ATK or BTK and ATK.
Yeah, exactly. Like before Tears of the Kingdom and after Tears of the Kingdom. BTK, I felt like I didn't put that many hours into it, but I got stuck at one point, as I typically do with these old games because I'm bad at games. Looked up a walkthrough. I'm like, oh, wow, I'm like halfway through this game already. And I like feel like I might put a couple hours in. So that was pretty cool. But was enjoying my time with it. Will I actually finish it by the 30th when we record? 31st? I forget when it is. Sometime at the end of the month. We will see. But
Okay.
Look forward to that episode eventually coming out. We'll see. It might be like, maybe it'll never come out. Maybe we just jump into the call and talk about Tears of the Kingdom for an hour. We'll talk more about our Patreon later on the show, but real quick here, I want to give a shout out to Jack Sriracha and Yate for allowing us to use their music on our show. We appreciate you very, very much, and we think you should show them support by listening to their music as well. So go over to Apple Music or Spotify, listen to their fantastic tunes. Links are in the show description on YouTube and on the podcast app of your choice. Click on those links, go listen to their music, and show them some love and support. Tell them that Super Game Boy sent you. All right. It's now time to check the mail.
Go ahead, boot them on up.
Let me get this going. Oh, shoot. I just got a high five from Kajoma on Duolingo.
Oh.
By the way, I have not revealed it on the show here to the public, but I am 16 days into a streak for learning Japanese on Duolingo.
Not too shabby.
I'm practically fluent now, so that's how it works. Imagine if you could just like jack into like a computer and just like download information. Just fantastic. That would be.
Give it time, and somebody's gonna create some kind of like Neuralink terminal where you just take a cable and you just doop boop.
Man,
start
when that
downloading
happens,
stuff into your synapses and firing in your brain.
Sign me up.
It's not in our lifetime. Not at all. Not even close. We'll be long dead.
Well, when they find the technology to also resurrect dead bodies, they can resurrect me, and then I can use it. All right. No, what I want. This is the technology they need to come up with. When I die, I want to be cremated. But I'm also now. I know. But I also want to put in my will that when they come up with the technology, this is a stretch.
I'm with you. I'm walking. Let's go.
This is a deep cut.
Okay.
You remember the movie Spy Kids?
Yes, of course.
Do you remember the microwaves?
Yes,
where they put
of course. I know where you're going.
They put the little aluminum packet in the microwave, and out comes a full Big Mac meal, drink and everything. I want them to create a technology.
They were just dehydrated. They weren't powder.
I want them to create a technology so that after I've been cremated, they can pop my ashes in a microwave, hit the button, and pop, here I am. I'm back again.
There's a difference between dehydration and just being atoms.
I don't.
You're still if it's dehydrated, it's still the thing is just small because there's no moisture in it.
I don't think it was dehydrated. You're thinking of Star Wars, that like with that weird like bread thing that Rey eats. I don't think in Spy Kids, because what happens is because in the microwave in Spy Kids, all it does is it goes flash, 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 and then all of a sudden, like 1 second it's not there, and the next second it's like boom, it's just there, like it just appears. So
yeah. Maybe I'm thinking like Back to the Future, where remember when they put that little Pizza Hut pizza in there, and then they put it in the oven, and as soon as they took it back out, it was a full size pizza.
Yeah. See, no, I want the whatever magic that they had in Spy Kids. I just like made a drink, a Coca-Cola appear in a microwave somehow.
Not to mention it was a microwave and came out ice cold. What kind of sorcery is that? You know what? Maybe they're using the same technology that they put in Hot Pockets. Because you microwave those forever and they're still icy cold in the middle.
And then 1 second, too much, and it's just molten lava.
And it's burnt, yeah.
Did you hear? I also think I heard recently that they're making. I can't remember if it's a reboot or another sequel of Spy Kids. I think it's a reboot. I think they're rebooting Spy Kids this year.
I thought you were going to say they were going to reboot Hot Pockets.
Reboot Hot Pockets.
How?
It's going back to the drawing board on that one. They're like, hey, you know what? We really messed up somewhere along the way.
I mean, I guess. I don't know. I remember Spy Kids, but I'm not partial or fond of it.
Spy Kids was my jam. That movie we watched way too much.
I remember that one part when the kids found out that what are they called? The people with the weird shaped heads.
The thumbs.
The thumbs.
They're literally just thumbs.
When they were speaking backwards. That big twist. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, man. Absolutely crazy. What a wild, wild movie that was. And how they roped Antonio Banderas into that one. And Danny Trejo.
Danny Trejo will be in anything.
He'll be in anything.
He'll be in anything. You promise him lunch, he'll be there.
Oh, all right. Let's get into some questions here. We got this first one from Sir Prince a lot. Who was your first celebrity crush? So for me, it's probably
that was a pretty good high note right there.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with this one. Well, because after talking about Spy Kids, I was like the mom from Spy Kids. I mean, you know, no, for me it was Lord of the Rings, probably Liv Tyler from Lord of the Rings. That was my first introduction to her as a child, as Arwen. And yeah, that's.
You told me that before, and I said I can't fault you.
Yeah,
but I also said you better be ready because you're gonna have to fist fight Aragorn to the death. So, is it worth it?
Yeah, I mean, but here's my thought though. He is mortal. He will eventually die off.
But he's the king.
So what?
That's what I try to tell you.
I'm not saying I'm going to kill him. I'm not saying I kill him. I'm saying he will die of old age eventually.
But if you're you now, right?
Oh yeah. So with him,
you're going to die too.
I'll be 80 by the time
Arwen.
I'll be 80 by the time he dies, but I'd still have a chance.
No. Arwen, give her some credit. She's got standards, all right. I don't think she wants no gray Garrett hobbling around. I don't think she's gonna give up her immortality for you for that. Wait, that's right. She's gonna die too. Didn't you give that up for him?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, so you lose. So you have to fight him. You have to kill him.
You have to fight him. All right. I guess I better start training.
You have to fight the king, by the way.
It was fine.
So you better hope if you win, they're going to kill you instantly. I don't know if this is going to work out for you, Chief.
I mean, maybe it can be one of those like official,
like a gladiator match?
Like, hey, whoever wins here is also king.
He would never agree to
double
that.
Double or nothing. Double or nothing, Aragorn.
Double or nothing.
You too scared? You too chicken, Aragorn? It's just like
Aragorn, I know you don't know anything about. You don't know who I am, but I'm here to fight you for your kingdom and your woman. I just showed up out of nowhere, by the way. You've been on a miraculously long journey.
Yeah.
But I'm here to take everything you earned from you.
Take it all.
Helm's
it's all
Deep,
mine.
Don't matter. This is the toughest fight you ever fought.
Oh, man. Also, Keira Knightley from Pirates of the Caribbean. I had a poster. Well, I had a Pirates of the Caribbean poster. It wasn't just of her. It was a Pirates of the Caribbean poster, but she was on it.
No wonder you watched that UMD so many times.
Yeah,
that you had your PSP.
That was the only UMD PSP movie I had was Pirates of the Caribbean. I think I was 2. I don't know. It was the first one. It was the first one. Oh man, so good.
You know what I remember? The weird way she said fire in those movies. Was she saying fire all or was she saying fire?
I don't know if I know what you're talking about. I have to watch. I haven't watched Pirates of the Caribbean in probably
in Pirates of somebody
20 years.
Follow up either on social media or in Discord. I feel like whenever they say fire the cannons, she either says fire all or she says fire all. And I always thought, why did she say it like that?
What is she saying?
I assume she's saying fire all.
Okay, so I just Googled Keira Knightley fire, and the very first thing is on Reddit. The way Flint says fire. So in the TV show Black Sails, there's a character named Flint who says fire weird, and apparently it's in reference to Keira Knightley in Dead Man's Chest. At the big ship battle, Keira Knightley says fire instead of fire.
See, I knew I wasn't crazy. Why did she say that? Nobody else talks like that.
I don't know.
Now I gotta look it up. There has to be a reason.
She was a big fan. She was a big Final Fantasy fan. Fire!
No, that would be absolutely insane. But I bet you she did some method acting thing that's people in the 1500s. They pronounce fire like fire because it's more of the Latin root of it or something like that.
Who knows? Oh man,
fire. Go ahead. Oh wait, it's my turn.
It's your turn. I need to know your celebrity crush.
Sorry, I want to know more about this. I got a topic I gotta look into and research. My celebrity crush. I asked you before. You said you had cursory knowledge. Pee-wee's Big Adventure was the first big Pee-wee movie.
Okay.
And there was a nice young lady that ran the bike shop named Dottie, who was really into Pee-wee, and he didn't have any time for it because he was worried about his bike. And she even asked him on a date, and he turned her down. And I used to think he was an absolute maniac because she was absolutely gorgeous and everything about her. She is actually also voiced by E.G. Daily, who is the famous voice actress behind many of our childhood cartoons, Rugrats.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In particular, that's her biggest role, but she's done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different characters over the years. But
wow,
not very many in-person gigs. This was one of the few. But man, she was just so cute in that movie. And I can't believe
she's
to
the
this
voice.
day.
She's the voice of Babe from Pig in the City. Pig in the City.
I can't believe to this day
Tommy
that Pee-wee
Pickles
turned Dottie down.
He turned Tommy Pickles down. Come on.
All right, don't make it sound weird.
All right, this next while you're researching your Keira Knightley fire, I'm gonna ask this next question. Kajoma01 asks, "What's your favorite droid?" I assume he's talking about Star Wars.
I said mine was Chopper as of right now. In recent history,
Okay.
I think he's a much more expressive version of an R2 unit. I know he's not an R series droid, but I think his personality is a lot better. It's a lot more expressive than R2's in most cases. And then another one I want to shout out to for recent is BD1. I'm not the hugest Jedi series fan, but BD1 is one of the things that definitely stuck out to me as this is a good addition to canon. And yeah, he's a good little boy. I would like to have him as my own droid. I like that he sits on your shoulders.
BD1's fantastic. Yeah, I think I like that too. Like the fact that he can just kind of sit up on your shoulder or whatever, go in your backpack. It's so versatile. Also still has all the tools you'd need in a droid. I'm always super jealous of Kajoma because he's posted pictures. He has a little Lego set that's like life-size figure of like BD1. I'm like, oh, that'd be so sick to have a little BD1 on my shelf. And this is completely just like a new thing. I think probably BD1 if I had to pick one as well, but more recently, just in the last couple weeks, I was watching Star Wars Visions Season 2, and the little droid, I can't find the name of it. When I was watching the episode, we had the subtitles on, and they have the name of the droid, but it's not showing up anywhere online in my quick Google search. But the droid from the first episode, first one called Sith, about the former Sith apprentice or whatever. She has like a little droid. That thing, I mean, that whole episode was incredible. Like, I love that art style. It's 3D, but it's like all using like hand painted like assets and stuff. Like, absolutely gorgeous episode. And then the little droid was like just so funny, a little spunky dude. Like, and he just like it was so cool. It's like, yeah, again, he's just so versatile with like the way he can just move around, like 4 little legs. She jumps on her speeder. He like jumps into the speeder and becomes like part of it, like in the navigation and stuff like that. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a sick
that actually sounds
droid.
Pretty sick.
Like, he's just like rolling with her like all over the place. So I think that's a new favorite. I'm not gonna say it's like number one, but I was into it.
I gotta catch up on Visions, man.
I know. I watched the first 3. We watched up to basically the one that was done by the Wallace and Gromit studio. We were like, we have to watch that one at least. That one was very good. But yeah, I haven't finished that season either. Star Wars Visions is so good.
That's like the best thing that they've put out that nobody talks about is Visions.
I almost want to rewatch season 1 too, like especially just with learning like starting to learn Japanese and stuff. I was like, how sick that'd be to watch that like in Japanese, like watching these.
That's
Star
the only
Wars
way I
things,
watch
like,
them. I cannot do the American voices. I can't do it.
Yeah, I might need to go back and
watch the Rock Band one from the first season. That was my favorite one. That one was so good.
So good. I think mine was probably either the very first episode, like it's all black and white. Because the lightsabers was sick. The freaking umbrella lightsaber.
Yes,
like
dude.
a bunch of light. I was like, what the heck?
And he pulls his out and it's red too. Oh.
Yeah. Or there's another one where like they meet that old dude on the hill and he ends up being a Sith, like a crazy Sith dude.
Yep.
And they have like the duel in the rain or whatever. Like that one was so intense.
Just top notch, man. Just the best Star Wars content nobody talks about. It's a shame. I hope they put those out on like a disc or somewhere
like a
you
Blu-ray
can buy
or something like that. Yeah, physical.
Because I don't want those to get lost.
You really can't. Like it's only available on Disney Plus.
Yeah, or put them on iTunes so I can buy them and download them and keep them on my drive or something.
Right. Star Wars Visions. I'm just curious, like if there is anything on.
I mean, Amazon. I can find them if I look for them. If I look for them where I need to look for them. But
they have an art book. Whoa, that would be sick. It's on sale right now. Normally it's $100 on sale for $60. The Art of Star Wars Visions Deluxe Edition.
Is it just one, or is it?
It's season 1. Dude,
how many pages for $100? It better be at least 400. At least maybe 350.
192.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Looks pretty sick though. I think it comes with like.
We are these way off topic.
This is fine. This is totally fine.
This is worth it.
Yeah, dude, I might need to get this book. This is incredible. Anyways,
where are you looking? Because I see it for like $60.
That's what I'm saying. It's normally 100. It's on sale for 60.
Oh, okay.
Or there's a Kindle version, but I think it looks like the deluxe edition comes with like 3 prints, which is what's kind of cool. It comes in a hard case. That might be
why it's 100 then.
So yeah, it comes with an exclusive slipcase, a folio containing triptych of archive quality lithographs and stills from each episode. Okay.
That makes sense.
Dude, that's sick. All right, adding that to my wish list right now. Anyways, yes, you are correct. We are way off course here.
It's okay. We can go off for Star Wars.
I mean, we also don't have to do this last question either, because I mean, it's a super gamer bot. He won't get mad, will he? If we skip his question.
I don't know. He might remember this, when he becomes sentient.
Yeah, you got a good point. It won't take long to answer. We'll answer it real quick. How about that? This last question from Super Gamer Bot. Are there any video games that you feel are overrated or underrated, and why?
Go ahead.
I'm going to go first because I know everyone's going to be pissed off. And so I'm hoping I can say this now, get it off my chest, and then you'll say your answer and they'll forget what I said. So have your answer ready quick.
I'm ready to go.
I believe that this game is overrated, and that game is Fortnite. Extremely overrated.
Extremely.
I'm not
you
saying,
didn't say extremely when you told me earlier. You just said it was overrated.
I'm not saying it's a bad game. I am saying it's overrated. I think a lot of people misunderstand overrated and underrated. They think you're saying something's bad or good. I'm not saying Fortnite is either bad or good. I'm saying it's just overrated. It has way more hype and way just people go way bonkers crazy over this game. That's it's more than it needs, more than it should get, in my opinion. That's where I stand. Go ahead, Adrian, so everyone can forget what I said.
Well, if you're doing over, I'll do under.
Okay.
My underrated is Valhalla, the how do they put it? Cyberpunk bartending action game where you work as a bartender and you're having conversations with the patrons and you learn about basically the overall plot throughout your shifts as a bartender. I know the premise sounds a little weird, but trust me, when you start it, you will not be able to put it down. It is so freaking good. It's like, it's a, not necessarily a sister game. I'll say like a cousin game to 2064 because they both take place in the same universe. And fun fact, kind of a little bit of a, not a spoiler, but a nod. A couple characters from 2064 show up to the bar.
Oh, nice.
From time to time.
Okay.
So, and I already freaking loved 2064, so I decided to go ahead and play that. This was back in the day.
Yeah.
And I think both games are phenomenal.
I mean, 2064 is incredible. And
it's
if you haven't...
incredible. That's another one that I feel like never gets talked about. Both of those games. You know what? I'll put both of them.
Yeah.
They deserve a lot more spotlight and praise than they got. I feel like they came out and they just went by the wayside for a lot of people.
Totally. Yeah. And that's, we did a book club on that. So we've both, like I've played through it as well. And we talked about it. And that was such a gem of a game to play. Like I was not anticipating that. And honestly, I think that's one of the first, it was like in the early days of kind of introducing me to like these indie games. And I was like, oh man, no, indie games are different. Like they're on a whole nother level. Like people don't realize what's going on. Like in this,
they don't know what's going on down here. They're too busy.
No idea. Everyone wants their big AAA games and stuff.
And you know, whatnot.
Redfalls. Exactly.
Their Redfalls and their Jedi Survivors and whatnot. Meanwhile, I'm way down here in the crevices just getting story just fed to me and weird, different, crazy gameplay mechanics just all over the place. Everywhere you turn, indie games are where it's at. And I will say that. I will shout it from the rooftops.
So good. Dude, I'm sorry. I'm still on Amazon. And
just do it.
That black and white episode that I was telling you about, it's called The Ronin. There's a Kotobukiya statue of the Ronin, that character with his lightsaber out. 12-inch statue, and it's like a black and white color except for the lightsaber's red. $229. But dude, it is
I was gonna say, but the fact that they decided to still paint the lightsaber, just a great touch.
It's so cool looking. Too bad it cost way too much.
Like you're getting what you pay for.
Yeah, probably. There's a lot of cool Star Wars Visions merch on here, actually. There's like another statue of like the really cool looking Darth Vader.
Yeah, but nobody's talking. Why do you think the the art book is $60 instead of $100 because nobody's buying it.
No one likes good stuff.
No, they don't.
Good things could come and slap them in the face. And
they're
like,
so busy.
I want more Fortnite. I want more Fortnite.
All right. Relax now. I'm
All
with
right.
you up until a certain point. What I was gonna say is people are so busy complaining about the sequel trilogy, or a lot of people didn't like the end of The Mandalorian this season, which is crazy. I really thought it was pretty good because
that was pretty good.
It's not about him anymore. It's about the Mandalorians now. You got to get over yourself. But people are so busy about that you don't. It's the same thing. It's the same thing as indie games. We're down here with our Star Wars visions over here in the corner having the cool stuff, but nobody's taking a peek. Nobody's looking this way.
They don't know. They don't know about it.
And then they want to go, how come these big guys never take risks? They never make anything different. Gee, I wonder why.
Sad, really. All right. Well, that is it for the mailbag segment. Now it's time for the nerdy nudes.
It's now time for the nerdy nudes.
All right. It is the time of the show where I jump into the news here. And this first news story is Microsoft's Activision Blizzard acquisition approved by EU regulators. Written by Tom Warren over at The Verge. Microsoft's $68.7 billion deal to acquire Activision Blizzard has been approved by EU regulators just weeks after UK regulators blocked the acquisition. The European Commission has concluded that the deal can pass thanks to commitments from Microsoft related to cloud gaming. The EU found that Microsoft would have no incentive to refuse to distribute Activision's games to Sony, and that even if Microsoft did decide to withdraw Activision's games from the PlayStation, this would not significantly harm competition in the consoles market. But EU regulators, much like the UK, did find the acquisition could harm competition through the distribution of PC and console games through cloud gaming services. The European Commission has identified remedies to allow for the deal to go ahead through 10-year licensing deals that Microsoft has offered to competitors. These include a free license to consumers in EU countries that would allow them to stream via any cloud game streaming service of their choice, all current and future Activision Blizzard PC and console games that they have a license for. Cloud providers will also be offered a free license to stream these games in EU markets. These licenses are automatic and mean that consumers will have a right to stream Activision Blizzard game they've purchased or subscribed to on any cloud gaming streaming service of their choice and play them on any device using any operating system. It appears that the European Commission requested Microsoft offer this automatic license, and the Xbox maker will now apply this globally. This is a gigantic article. There's a lot more going on here.
The gist of it is the EU has approved the Microsoft Activision deal. However, a roadblock still stands in the way.
Yes. I have the tweet here you sent me, Adrian. You want me to go ahead and kind of read through a couple of these real quick?
Yeah, while you pull it up, I'll let them know what's going on. So the CMA, who is the real roadblock, that's like the final boss of getting the things approved over in the UK from Microsoft. They initially denied the claim, and now in light of the EU's ruling, they're actually going to go ahead and double down. So in essence, they're saying, we don't care who approves this deal, we are not doing it. And they put out a thread earlier today on Twitter explaining why. And I believe you have that up now.
Yeah, so this is from at CMA Gov UK, Competition and Markets Authority. Our response to the European Commission's announcement today on Microsoft Activision, a thread. The UK, US, and European competition authorities are unanimous that this merger would harm competition in cloud gaming. The CMA concluded that cloud gaming needs to continue as a free competitive market to drive innovation and choice in this rapidly evolving sector. Microsoft's proposals accepted by the European Commission today would allow Microsoft to set the terms and conditions for this market for the next 10 years. They would replace a free, open, competitive market with one subject to ongoing regulation of the games Microsoft sells, the platforms to which it sells them, and the conditions of the sale. This is one of the reasons the CMA's independent panel group rejected Microsoft's proposal and prevented this deal. While we recognize and respect that the European Commission is entitled to take a different view, the CMA stands by its decision. So that last sentence really should be translated as, with all due respect, no offense, but you're wrong, European Commission. Like, that's really what they're saying. It's kind of like, no offense, but no, sir, you're wrong.
We are not doing this.
Yeah. Kind of crazy. Yeah, and people are not happy about it either. Like, a lot of people are upset, like, at the CMA, because they're just like, what do you like? You don't even know what you're talking about. Like,
games.
Yeah. I don't necessarily know where I stand on it. Like, obviously, like, as a gamer, I'm like, heck yeah, I want this deal to go through because it'd be sick. On the other hand, it's like, yeah, you know what? Maybe they're right though. Like, maybe it could jack things up, competition wise in the cloud gaming market. But I guess for me, so here's my current thoughts. They're like, there's barely a cloud gaming market right now. Like, are we really?
We just lost a major player in it.
Right. It's Stadia. Stadia has just dropped out. Like, Amazon Luna is barely limping along. Like, it's a market that barely exists already. So it just seems weird for them to be so worried about it. Like, they're making a mountain out of a molehill of cloud gaming as if it's like this big deal. It's like Xbox themselves barely utilizes it. Like, not even all of their games come to cloud gaming service right now. So why, like, they're trying to make rules like in the future for things? It's like they're still trying to figure out what they're doing with it, let alone.
I wonder if this is the one thing that they could like stick them on. You know what I mean? That's
what it feels like. It feels like they're grasping at straws at this point.
Right.
And so they're just like, we're gonna stick to this cloud gaming argument when it's like that's not even really an argument, really. Like,
they didn't grease the right palms, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, like I
guess the right people.
Big is, but overall, like, what are your thoughts with like,
at this point, realistically,
with the future of this acquisition? Because a lot of people saw this and were like, oh, the deal is saved, it's happening. It's like, no. The CMA is doubling down, and then the US is in the middle of a lawsuit with Microsoft over the deal as well. Like, and we don't know what the settlement is on that in 2 more months. So it's like, this is nothing in the grand scheme of things.
This deal, in my opinion, if I'm like in Phil Spencer's shoes, I'm like, man, this is starting to become more trouble than it's worth at this point. Just even dealing with like you said, we got a lawsuit back home in the US that we're dealing with now. That's impeding approval there. And then we have the CMA here who is trying to find any little measure that they can to block this deal we don't know what their real reasoning is for not wanting the deal to go through, but they're going to stick on cloud gaming as why, even though, like you said, there's barely a market, if any market, for cloud gaming. So it's weird to block a whole merger based on that. Just say you don't want them to have it. Just say you don't want them to be a monopoly, and that's fine. That's there. Does the UK have antitrust laws like that, or monopoly laws like that?
I do not know. I would not know for sure. I mean, I assume they have something like that's why like the CMA and like these organizations exist.
Right.
But so I just did some math. I was able to Google and found that from the year 2021 to, and this is using estimates, 2021 to 2025, it's projected to reach about $8.17 billion of revenue in the cloud gaming market. The current video game market just this year, just last year, was $220.79 billion. So the cloud gaming market makes up 3.7% of the whole gaming market. So not really.
So yeah, it's not really cloud gaming. It's another reason.
Inconsequential there, yeah.
That we don't know about and that they would not dare to say.
And that $8 billion was an estimate for 2025. It's not even that high yet. At this point, I think it was like only at like 2 or 3 billion. So less than that. So maybe like 1% of the gaming market is cloud gaming. So
I mean, personally, I could care less if it goes through or if it doesn't go through. I would hope that it doesn't go through because I don't think Microsoft needs that. All that extra stuff on their plate. Yeah. However, if it does go through, I don't have any stock or stake in the company, so it doesn't really mean anything for me at this point.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just a wild. I guess for me too, it's just wild, like almost like this the bickering happening between the UK and in the EU. Like
now, I have heard that once the CMA and this this thread today proved it, that if the CMA blocks or declines your whatever you're trying to do, your actions, they usually do not. Even if you appeal, they don't reverse their decision very often. So even if Microsoft does appeal for the CMA, which I think Phil said that they were going to try to do, it's pretty much in vain because they almost never overturn their rulings. So
yeah,
more likely than not, they're going to try to use this EU thing to try to put pressure on the CMA. But the CMA just said it ain't going to work just now. Right. So good luck, Microsoft, in trying to do this, but I don't think it's going to work out the way they think. Yeah. Realistically, if it's me, I'm going to just pay, because I guess they have a clause with Activision that if this doesn't go through, they got to pay them $3 billion. Just pay Activision the $3 billion and cut them loose.
Move on.
I'd rather pay $3 billion. I'd rather have to lose $3 billion than lose 69. So I'm just saying we could use those other $69 billion. How about we strengthen up our own studios?
Right.
With that.
Actually put out a decent game this year. That'd be nice.
Right. Staff them up. How about that?
Yeah, well, we will have to wait and see what happens there with the deal. If CMA comes around or if the whole thing just gets thrown in the trash can in a couple months once the US stuff comes out. But we will see. Next up on the news docket here, this comes from PlayStation Lifestyle, written by Zarmena Khan. Metal Gear Solid 3 remake and more rumored to be a PS5 exclusive. Reports have surfaced that Sony Interactive Entertainment has struck an exclusivity deal with Konami for the rumored Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater remake, Silent Hill games, and a new Castlevania. Silent Hill 2 remake has already been confirmed as a limited time PS5 console exclusive, and Metal Gear Solid has been rumored to be the same. However, this is the first we've heard about a new Castlevania release potentially being a PS5 exclusive. Excuse me. Sony has yet to confirm Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, but the latest report comes from Windows Central's Jez Corden and has been partially corroborated by Video Games Chronicles' Andy Robinson. There was a tweet put out by some random person on Twitter saying, is this what Blue Point is working on? And Jez from Windows Central, which is a pretty, that's a pretty major news outlet for usually Microsoft stuff, right. Which is kind of surprising that they're talking about Sony stuff here. But he just says, not sure on that. Just heard Sony landed a deal with Konami for Silent Hill, Metal Gear, and maybe even a new Castlevania. And then Andy Robinson puts out a tweet. I also heard a Sony showcase is happening in the usual late May, early June window with Konami stuff included. I'm not expecting Nintendo to do anything. So yeah,
Why was Nintendo brought into this?
I don't know why Nintendo was even brought in it. Maybe with I don't know. I was gonna say maybe with the Castlevania stuff, but I don't know. Much like Silent Hill, rumors about Metal Gear Solid 3 remake have been swirling for a number of years, but Konami has yet to officially confirm anything. However, the company has previously expressed its desire to breathe new life into its beloved franchise. In the case of Silent Hill, Konami has announced multiple new projects in collaboration with external partners. And before E3 2023 was canceled, it was reported that Konami would unveil a new Castlevania game as well as Metal Gear Solid 3 remake at the event. Now the games are expected to be showcased at an upcoming PlayStation event by the end of May or early June. So all rumors and speculation at this point still, but it's a couple industry people who are from reputable sites, so it's interesting. They don't confirm a Metal Gear Solid 3 at all, but just that there's potentially a Metal Gear game coming. Yeah, I don't know. I for me, honestly, I could care less that it's PS5 exclusive or when it comes. I mean, sooner would be better, I guess. But I was actually kind of bummed out I'm not about this rumor for Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. Like of all the Metal
Really?
Gears that they remake, Metal Gear Solid 3 is fine.
Well, you're not a big boss guy, right?
I'm not Big Boss is not my favorite character.
That's true.
I'm more of a give me Solid Snake, you know.
I understand the reason why they're going with 3. It makes sense.
It does. It makes sense in the grand, like it's everyone's favorite game, unfortunately.
Well, not only that, but chronologically it makes sense too. So
yeah, it does. But I was reading some other rumors somewhere that like it could be like open world and all this stuff. I'm like, nah, like we don't.
Why?
Just
do the same thing.
Like,
just make the same thing look good and fix quality of life stuff.
Don't try to reinvent the wheel. There's no need to kind of reinvent the wheel and start over and scratch on this one.
People like that. All right, look, Shadow of the Colossus. People liked it. It was the same thing, but it looked prettier and it fixed quality of life.
Yeah.
Demon Souls, the same thing. It looked prettier, fixed a little bit of quality of life stuff, but it was essentially the same game people remember. Just do that. Just do it.
Don't mess it up.
And they better get the Calorie Mate license too.
Oh yes, they gotta. I still have yet to try them. I no joke. I've put them. You can buy them on Amazon. I've put it in my cart like a bunch of times. Like I just want to try it once. I know it's tastes horrible, but it would just be fun to try it one time. But I've never have. No, if they were to remake it, like you got to do the first one though, because that's like technically we got Twin Snakes on GameCube, but no, I want a remake of Metal Gear Solid that's like actually close to what the original Metal Gear Solid was. Like Twin Snakes.
Well, that would be the next one they do.
Twin Snakes changed too much for me. Yeah, but my worry is like
because we already have 5, which takes place after 3, right?
Yeah,
it's 3, 5, 1, 2, 4.
Yeah, I guess my worry is Konami they put out the 3 remake. It quote unquote doesn't do as good as they were expecting, and then they get gun shy and they don't make any more. It's like if they're gonna make one, I wish they would just be the first one, boom, get her done. And then because my worry is like the longer it goes before like 1 and 2 get a remake or whatever they end up doing with it, then like it potentially couldn't happen because they just get like burnout on it or something. Because
I can't see them not at least doing the first Metal Gear Solid. There's no way. I feel like that's the one that has the most cultural impact. And if you don't do any other ones, you need to at least do it after 3. You need to do the first one.
Yeah.
So
I'm all about it.
Could you imagine the comparison shots people are going to do in that elevator scene in the beginning?
Oh man. I love Metal Gear so much. I need more Metal Gear in my life.
Are you going to play the remake? Considering that there's no Kojima oversight on it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm
It's also not going to say a Hideo Kojima game. I know that's going to pain you.
I am a bigger Kojima fan, but I'm still a huge Metal Gear fan. Like that's what got me. That's how I even knew who Kojima was. So even though like nowadays, like I would say, oh no, I'm a Hideo Kojima fan. Like I'm still very much a massive Metal Gear fan. So yeah, I think I would definitely play these. Even if it ends up being Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, even though it's not my favorite one, like I'm not gonna not play that. That's ridiculous. You crazy.
Well, I mean, some people say that, there is no Metal Gear without Kojima. So and they may have a valid argument.
Yeah, I would be interested to at least try it and see. And if it's trash, then well, okay, I won't play any of the other remakes that come out. But yeah, I still got the originals. But yeah, I don't know. Okay. We'll have to wait and see, I guess, on that one.
Castlevania is definitely the odd one, I think. I'm trying to figure out what they're going to do as far as remaking it. Are they going to basically remake the original formula where it's a side scroller, or are there any details on it?
I mean, not that I've seen. I mean, I could totally see them doing like keeping it side scroller and just basically doing they just did the Dead Cells
Return to Castlevania.
Return to Castlevania. Sick. But I don't know, just basically doing Castlevania, but just with an upgraded graphics. Cause there's plenty of or just not even updated graphics, but just a new updated artistic style even. Like, I don't know, like, yeah, give me something like a Dead Cells or Hollow Knight or whatever, just like side-scrolling Castlevania game with like a new art style or something that's feels good and fluid, runs at 60 FPS, like whatever. Like, I don't know, I think it'd be sick.
I'll take it.
But so yeah, we'll stay tuned, because I mean, we're gonna be covering all of the Summer Games Fest shenanigans at the beginning of June. That's like less than a month away, which is wild.
I know, dude.
So stay tuned to our Twitch channel and our YouTube channels, because we pretty much we try do our best to watch pretty much everything and put put our reactions out there. So yeah, I'm excited. That'll be fun. Be prepared to watch me just like do a backflip. All right, time to move on to this next snooze story. I did not mean to say that, but that's what came out. News story. I feel really bad now because this is definitely not a snooze. This is from Kat Bailey over at IGN. Project Bloom, Pokemon Studios teaming up with Private Division for ambitious samurai game. Stunning concept art hints at what may be Game Freak's first true foray into high-end AAA development. Game Freak, the studio best known for Pokemon, is partnering with Private Division in what appears to be its first foray into the AAA action-adventure space. Private Division announced that it is working with Game Freak on Project Bloom, an ambitious new action-adventure game. In a statement, Game Freak director Kota Furushima said that fans can expect something very different from its usual monster collecting fare. We're thrilled to have the opportunity to create new IP that is bold and tonally different from our prior work, Furushima said. From the beginning, Private Division was the publisher we wanted to work with on our new game. Their track record and global expertise give us all the confidence to create a sweeping new action-adventure game that we can't wait to share more about in the future. Private Division head Michael Waraz added that the publisher is honored to be the first Western publisher to be working with Game Freak. Along with the announcement, Game Freak and Private Division included the new project's first piece of concept art, which features a samurai standing in a forest grove. The evocative image in which the samurai is dwarfed by massive gnarled trees suggests that the new game will feature a greater scope than of Game Freak's projects to date. So, yeah, well, it does continue here, because some of you guys may not know, Game Freak is popularly associated with Nintendo, but it technically remains an independent studio that has produced games for various platforms over the years. They include Little Town Hero, Tembo the Badass Elephant, and Pocket Card Jockey, all of which have been released for platforms outside the Nintendo Switch. But in a previous interview with IGN, Game Freak General Manager of Development Department Masafumi Saito talked about the studio's desire to work with all sorts of creators, both inside Japan and elsewhere in the world. So yeah, just based off the concept art alone, it gave me it made me think of like a Elden Ring but samurai. Like literally looking at this picture, I'm like, oh, this looks like the dang forest in Elden Ring with the bears. But you're a freaking samurai or something. Like we don't know what the gameplay is going to be like, but
that press release it felt like Game Freak was saying, thank you finally for letting us actually make a game that's not on a phone. Thank you for letting us actually make a game experience.
Right.
They were just so overjoyed.
Yeah, I'm stoked to see what they come up with. Cause like, yeah, even just like letting them work with something with more power. Like up until now, it's always been like, oh, make a game for the Game Boy, make a game for the 3DS, make a game for the whatever, like the Switch. And it's like, oh man, like make a game now for the PS5 and Xbox Series X and PC that's just going to look gorgeous. Like it's just going to be such a wild resume that they have. It's like all these Pokemon games and like, if it's anything even remotely close to this concept art, it's just like this, yeah, gorgeous like Elden Ring style like world. It's like, oh man,
here's where the rub comes in, right? If they put this game out on the Series S and the PS5 and it still looks and runs bad, then we know we have a Game Freak problem and not a Nintendo and the Pokemon company making them rush to get it done to try to get a game out. We know it's them that would be incompetent.
Yeah.
So this is going to be the real big like litmus test for it.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. Up until, although, Yeah, I don't know. I guess if it's being co-developed with Private Division, like Private Division does not put out trash. So I would hope there would be some sort of like either they would pick up the slack or they would be willing to delay a game. Private Division would be before putting out trash, you know?
Right.
Like I'm trying to think of the games Private Division has done. Like they worked on they did Ollie Ollie World. They've worked on Hades. They worked on Kerbal Space Program. They worked on Outer Worlds. And there's a bunch of other ones here that I've actually never heard of. Some smaller games. But yeah, like they have made some very, very high quality games. So I would hope, even though, you know, they're coming up and working with Game Freak, I they would be willing to stand their ground and be like, no, we're putting out quality. Like if like you said, it's a Game Freak problem and not a Pokemon Company problem. And for those of you who don't know what we're even referencing, we're talking about just how Pokemon Scarlet and Violet came out awful. And they're still like, they've not been patched. Like
Nope.
There's not been hardly any patches that have addressed any of the issues. So they're still almost 7-8 months in now, and like just kind of barely
They've done
works.
other little things here and there, but nothing like substantial as far as performance, which is the one thing that we asked them for.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, so I'm stoked about this. Yeah, like we've already said we don't need to beat the dead horse here, but both very competent and skilled game development studios teaming up here. And I'm like, all right, give it to me. Even if it's just Pokemon IRL, you know, you're a samurai. Yeah, just the
you got
super
a dual Pokemon. Jigglypuff just starts pulling out a blade.
This super dark, gritty samurai Pokemon game. Basically, it's Pokemon Origins Arceus, but like real life, you know, instead of like cartoony graphics. It would be awesome. But congrats to Private Division and the folks over there. We have friend who's connected over there, and
we know some people.
I know when I tweeted about that, and I was like, dude, he's like, what did he say? He's like, heck yeah, or I don't know. He made some comment back to me, but I was like, you dirty dog, because he would have known about this beforehand.
You
knew. Why
didn't say anything? We could have had the scoop of the century.
Super Gamer Boys could have been put on the map as someone who knows something. Oh man, but no, it's probably better this way. That way he doesn't lose a job, you know.
Right.
Just to be very clear too, if anyone from Game Freak and Private Division is listening this for whatever reason, we did not know. I just want to be clear, like we weren't given any scoop. We're saying we wish he gave us the scoop. I just want to make that abundantly clear so that you know, no one gets in trouble. All right, this last news story comes to us from Polygon, written by Michael McWhirter. Nintendo says no new Switch hardware coming this year, but maybe in 2024. Don't expect new Switch hardware anytime this year, if comments from Nintendo President Shuntaro Furukawa are anything to go by. The company said Tuesday in its latest financial earnings that it has not factored new hardware into its current forecast, which stretches out to March 31st of 2024. In other words, if you were holding out for a Switch 2, you'll likely have to hold out a little longer. Instead, Nintendo said it hopes to invigorate Switch sales by supplementing existing titles with a continuous stream of new titles and add-on content. Nintendo's currently confirmed lineup includes this week's release of Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Pikmin 4 in July, and a pair of add-ons for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet called The Hidden Treasure of Area Zero launching this fall. And hopefully a patch that fixes the game by then. Metroid Prime 4 is also announced, but has no release window. Yeah, isn't that wild? Now, everyone's like champing at the bit for a Switch 2, but Metroid Prime 4 was announced for the Switch, and we haven't even gotten that yet. So hold your horses. Let's get Metroid Prime 4 first, and then we can move on to the Switch 2. How about that?
Metroid Prime 4 was also announced a year after the Switch came out.
Yeah, but my worry is like if they have to like change development cycle because it's technically a new console or whatever for the Switch 2, it's like He's going to push it out another 10 years and we'll never get that game. But
that's what I would have done.
Yeah, just reset it, start over again.
No. I would have done like how Breath of the Wild was a Wii U and a Switch title. I would do Metroid Prime as a launch title for whatever the next Switch is, but still have a Switch version because we know it can run because Metroid Prime Remaster runs on it. So if we did 4 for both versions and then we have an upgraded one for the new Switch, we still got access to that market.
Yeah. Not bad, actually. Not a bad idea. But so basically this just goes on and on about how no new Switch, but how do you feel about that? Because just real quick for myself, like, I'm fine. I just got the OLED this past year. There's games that struggle, but I think that comes down to just poor optimization more than like a lack of power on the Switch. For most games that Nintendo's putting out, like, it's plenty of power, honestly. Like Tears of the Kingdom runs fantastic for what it is.
All right, slow down. Runs fantastic.
I haven't had any
all the time.
I haven't had frame drops. I haven't had like any crazy frame drops. Like the textures aren't 4K spectacular, but they look great on the OLED on the Switch itself. Like, I don't know. Like I'm not for me, I'm content with the Switch OLED right now. I don't know. It's just me, I guess.
I was hoping to hear something at least the end of this year as like an announcement, because that's how they kind of did with the original Switch. Was they announced it in like, what was it, like November or something like that, and then it came out in March. I was hoping that we would at least get something at the end of the year. Doesn't seem like that's the case, but an announcement wouldn't necessarily fit into their fiscal year either, so we could still be getting that.
There's still plenty of time left in the year. We could totally in November, if the fiscal year ends in March next year, we could still hear about it here in November, December this year, and then get a new console next summer or something like that. So never know. Sorry, Boba Fletch in the chat just said, I'm playing Zelda right now. Can you guys just talk about Zelda for the next 6 hours and keep me company?
We're getting to that. Don't worry.
We're getting to it. That's what you playing segment. We're finishing up the news here in a second, but
I think, like you said, most games run well enough. Mm-hmm. I would like for them to run well, period. Zelda is a good example because of recency bias. It is already a fantastic game, but it running at a consistent frame rate of, I don't know, even just it running at a consistent 60, I think would be the thing that just pushes it over the edge, which is already hard to do because it's already so good. But I think that would just be icing on the cake, I think is a better term I should have said. Mm-hmm. There are your exceptions like Mario, where it already does run at 60 frames a second, but that's because it's confined spaces. It's not an open world. I would love to see, and then on the other side of the spectrum, you have like Hyrule Warriors, which runs awfully on Switch.
That was not good.
Which is honestly crazy to me, because if I'm Nintendo, I'm not letting a game with my IP on there come out and run like that game does. It's ridiculously bad. Like, it's a slideshow sometimes.
I've heard it's just abysmal at times.
So that right there is a case for us getting new hardware. And me personally, I know we around the same time just bought OLEDs. If you come out with a new Switch model and it's much stronger and fixed a lot of the issues that we had with the first one, I'll trade it in towards that.
I just don't want to lose the OLED. What if they come out with a Switch 2 that doesn't have an OLED? I have to go back to crappy
There's
screen.
no way they release another system without an OLED display. Absolutely not.
I mean, the PlayStation, that first model had the OLED and then they swapped it out.
That's because they weren't selling any units and they had to stop the bleeding. Switch is a powerhouse.
Yeah. I don't know. That'd be my biggest fear. Switch 2 comes out and for some reason they're like, hey, like, no OLED initially. And then like 3 years later, like, oh, we're bringing it back, OLED. And it's like, because Nintendo does weird things, Adrian.
They
That's
do.
the thing.
Look, I'm not saying they don't do weird things, okay? Them not having a friend system or online party chat is weird. It's weird. The play activity being way worse than the 3DS one when you're just trying to figure out how long you've been playing a game is weird. There's a lot of things that are weird and not good decisions that Nintendo makes. We could be here all day if you want. I can sit here and tell you all the dumb stuff that they should fix. Them shutting down the 3DS and Wii U shops. Dumb.
Real dumb.
But
yeah. Well, we'll just have to wait and see this fall, see if there's any announcements from Nintendo.
Fingers crossed, dude. It's going to be 7 years old.
Yeah. I mean, if there is something new, like, don't get me wrong, I'm picking it up for sure. I'll trade in the OLED in a second and get whatever the new thing is. But I'm also like extremely happy with the Switch right now. Like with the types of games I'm playing, like I've not had many issues. I know like recently you've been running into issues. Like you ran into issues with what was that game?
That's another one I forgot about. Cult of the Lamb.
Cult of the Lamb like crashed.
I was
on
just
you
trying
a
to
few
play
times.
the game. Not to mention it runs at a close to 30 frames a second. Like sometimes it definitely dips when I'm in combat or if I'm doing stuff in my village, my cult. But I just tried to use one of the relics in the new update and it just crashed like 3 times and I never went back.
Jeez. Yeah, that's wild. That's wild to me because that game isn't that like intense graphically. At least it doesn't seem it.
Graphically, no. But for some reason on the back end, it must be doing something crazy because when I even play it on Steam Deck, that fan gets going, boy. So I don't know what they're doing on the back end.
Yeah. Well, stay tuned here because obviously if anything ever gets announced from Nintendo, we'll be talking about it and we'll probably be getting it, at least as best as we can, talk about it here on the podcast. But we know you're all champing at the bit here for us to talk about Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, so let's get into the Patreon ad. All right, this is the part of the show where I tell you to go over to patreon.com/supergamerboys and support us starting at just $1 a month. That's right, $1. You got a whole month's worth of early content. These episodes you can catch Monday after we finish recording. I pump them out for you guys to listen to right away. Super Gamer Book Club, you can get 2 months early as well. Right now, like I mentioned before, you can get the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney episode that me and Adrian recorded. Phenomenal episode. We had a ton of fun talking about that. Fun introduction to that game I've never played before. So yeah, think about supporting us there. $1 a month, not $2 a month, $5 a month. You can see the show notes early and ad-free as well. Get those show notes early where you can see what topics we're going to be talking about, look at the questions of the show, the news stories, leave your own questions, comments, concerns to all the questions and all the news stories, and we will read them here on the air. So if you want your voice heard on the show and you're not watching live on a Monday night, leave your comments there in the doc, and then we can hear us chat about those later on when you listen to the episode. $10 a month, you can get shout-outs each and every week as a Super Gamer sponsor. And the $15 tier, you can be a Patreon producer where you pitch us a segment, and you know we'll give it the old college try on the show here, for better or for worse. We try most things people suggest on here, and it's always been a blast. So think about supporting us there if you think you got the next best show segment here. Remember, you can also subscribe on Twitch. If you have Amazon Prime, that means you have a Prime gaming sub just sitting there waiting to be used, completely free to you. Gives us $5. So if you're just, that's burning a hole in your pocket, think about going over to twitch.tv/thesupergamerboys and passing along that free sub over to us. We'd appreciate it. And last but not least, w.gg. is a phenomenal energy drink company that we have discovered, and we love their products. Right now, I've been going through the Calio cream flavor and the beach and peach flavor. And if you're looking for not coffee, an energy drink that no crash, no jitters, it contains coffee fruit extracted neurofactor to help you hyper focus on those tasks you're trying to get done. Check out Dubby. They got tons of fantastic flavors, and you can use our code SGB to get 10% off your order. So think about doing that to help support the show and get some good, clean energy.
No crash, no jitters, no anime collab. What's going on? What's going on, Dubby?
They have the waifu shaker cups.
That's not what I'm talking about. I see G
saw
Fuel over here getting all this Naruto love in their collab. What's going on? One Piece is sitting right there, Dubby.
Oh,
you can get a One Piece collab. Come on now, I'll buy the whole line. Day one.
That would be amazing.
Clip this out. Send it to him. I don't care. Let's figure something out. We got to answer to this.
Yes.
We have to take down the G Fuel empire.
Take him down. Man, I would be all about a One Piece Dubby set. That'd be so good. Ugh.
They set it up. They're all fruits.
So yes.
All the powers are fruits.
So good. All right. Well, that's it for our Patreon ad. Let's get back to the show. All right. It is now time for me to ask you, Adrian.
Don't even bother. Don't even bother. You know.
I gotta.
You
say
know what
though.
I've been playing. Don't even bother.
By law, I have. I you know, it's in the contract. I have to say this statement. What you playing?
Come on. What am I playing? The same thing the whole world's playing right now. The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes, I love it. I love the show notes. I think I mentioned at the top of the show, but I love how you just like delete it. Normally it has our names, Garrett, and it's whatever games I'm playing, Adrian, whatever games he's playing. It just says Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. There are no other games. Like the end all be all. This is it.
And
like,
I meant it.
The alpha and the omega, the beginning and the last.
That's it. That's all there is. Okay. No other games exist to me right now. Matter of fact, you could just delete every other game off my Switch at this point and I wouldn't even notice.
I mean, your Switch would probably run better. You talking about you've had some performance issues. Maybe that's your problem.
That's probably because I'm running it docked and it's pushing it,
that too.
To run at a higher frame rate. I might try it handheld.
I'm a handheld only boy over here, and
which is crazy to me. But that's the whole point. You should be able to play it however way you want to. Me personally, I'm like I was saying when we were talking before the show, I'm that guy from the original Switch commercial that comes home from wherever he was at. He was playing it handheld and he comes home and puts it in the dock. That's me. I'm that guy. So
if I had a living room, that'd probably be me as well. But I do not have a living room, so that is not me.
So I had to try it more in handheld. But anyway, we're here. Let me get comfortable. We are here to talk about a landmark experience. I am at least 15 hours into this game at this point. I might be underestimating it. I'm pretty sure I'm underestimating it. But my goodness, what a game. And I've barely scratched the surface.
I just was noticing in the chat, Bubba Fletch says it's too small in handheld for me. Usually I'm a handheld guy. So he's with you. He's a TV guy.
See, I'm not bashing handheld though. I play in handheld when I'm not at home. Yeah. But I don't know if it's my preferred way to play.
I think for me, I don't have an OLED TV. And so it's like, well, I like the colors and contrast just pops so incredibly well on the OLED screen. And then, yeah, I kind of explained to you before the show, for me, it's like riding a bike, but how there's different types of bike. Like everyone says like, oh, it's like riding a bike, because you could go 10 years without riding a bike, just jump on one and just be good to go. I just did that recently. It's been years since I touched a bike. I jumped on. I'm like, oh, this is easy. I can ride a bike. But what I equated it to is like going from like a mountain bike with big old fat tires to like a road bike with a skinny streamlined speed. Like that, like you can ride a bike, but it's going to feel wonky. And that's what it felt like to me. The one time I did put it in docked mode, I was playing on my computer monitor. So not even huge. It's 27 inch. Like, it's not like a big 55 inch TV or something. 1440p, 27 inch display. And I was like, wow, like it was like so weird moving around and doing things and like even just like getting the timings on things right. And I was like, it just threw me off. And I'm sure I would get used to it if I'd actually like played it for longer than 20 minutes. But for me, I'm like, nah, you know what? I prefer the color and look on the OLED. And I just
I'm not going to fight you on that one.
There's just a smoothness to the gameplay. But
if that's what's doing it for you,
get into the gameplay. Let's talk about some gameplay on this.
Let's do it.
You've put in a crap ton of hours, Adrian. What are your thoughts?
This game is I'm scared. It's massive. You know, I've been saying over the last few days I've put in that much time, but the majority of it honestly was just unlocking the map. That was it. Because you have to go to kind of like how Breath of the Wild was when they had the lookout towers. It's the same thing to update the map now because so many things have changed.
Right.
Just that amount, 15 hours just to get the map situated is crazy. Like, I've done my fair share of shrines here and there, of course, you know, when I have time to stop and do one. But I mean, just every area that I've been to has just dozens of side quests that you can just talk to people and get people that you don't even expect to get side quests from. Not to mention the main quest itself has big, tentpole missions that you can go on. And then there's supplementary stuff that's still in the main quest that you could do in any order. And it's like, my God, in the best way. Like, how do you expect anybody to finish this game? And I'm sure, of course, you know, there are people who have, you know, beaten it because of reviewers, but the average time I'm hearing for them to beat it, and they still had a bunch of stuff left, was 70 hours. 70 hours.
Except for that one speedrunner who beat it in like 94 minutes or whatever.
Yeah. I'm talking about average Joe.
Yeah.
But I can't get enough. Like, I am jonesing to get back to it.
I know. Yeah, we're both just keep looking at the clock. Like, all right, when's this episode over so we can play some more Tears of the Kingdom? No, I'm right there with you. I someone else was asking me like how I like it. I'm like, it's just more Breath of the Wild, and they were like, oh, really? And I'm like, but
yes, it is.
Yeah, but A, that's not a bad thing because Breath of the Wild was incredible, and B, but with just new abilities. And honestly, like, that's the biggest difference is like the new abilities you get and just some slight changes to the map, and it's a completely new, fresh game. It's crazy. Like, it's because they're even utilizing, for the most part, the same map. Like, there's topographical differences for story reasons, but it's like they're like, all right, here's the same map, but we're gonna change this a little bit. All right, and here's 4 new abilities. But it's just like it's just a reskinned Breath of the Wild, and I'm like, whoo, I'm all about this. Like, I'll put another.
Never seen this before. I'm
couple
going over
hundred
here.
hours. Yeah,
is this the same village? I can't tell.
Man, I'm loving it. Like, that is not a knock at all to say like it's just more Breath of the Wild. Like,
I was gonna say, people say that like it's a bad thing. Like,
no,
do you remember how good Breath of the Wild was? Breath of the Wild, I put 175 hours into, and I expect to do the same here.
Yeah. So I'm loving it. I was telling you before the show too. I was like, man, I instantly fell into the hole that I always do with every open world game, and especially so with Breath of the Wild. I did it too, where just immediately they're like, all right, go wherever you want. I did that here, where as soon as I got out of like the training area, I hit the ground running and just like started exploring. And then suddenly I was like, oh shoot, like there's shrines I can't complete because I don't have like equipment. I don't have like certain equipment that I need. I'm like, dang it, like what's going on? So I went back after like quite a few hours of exploring and like doing some shrines in random areas, and finally like did like the first couple like set up story missions or whatever for like the main quest. And I'm like, oh, I wish there was a little more of like a heads up as to like, hey, do like spend 20 more minutes and do these next 2 like little main quest before you head out, because not only did I get that piece of equipment, but it opened up, like you're saying, those towers like for. So I'm like, oh, I started doing all this exploring for like nothing, because I wasn't opening anything else up on the map. I have a bunch of fast travel points, but I don't have like actual topographical data from my map because the towers didn't exist until I just finished the mission. Like literally right before we started recording, I did that mission. I was like, which is wild because like you were about to talk about some story stuff like before the show, and you're like, oh wait, like where are you at? And I told you, you're like, whoa, like that's like, I am literally at like probably within the first 20 minutes of the game or 30 minutes of the game story wise, but I've already put hours and hours and hours into it because I just started exploring things. Like I didn't even bother to like you
and I are probably closer in the story than you think.
Okay
because like I said, a lot of my stuff has been set up to just try to get my bearings in the world.
That's true. Yeah, you've been doing a lot of map stuff as well. Right. But yeah, that's like the biggest. The thing I'm most excited about and scared of is that I immediately fell back into like, all right, I am not playing a game anymore. I'm living in this world. Like that's what Breath of the Wild. I thought
it was just me. I'm like,
no, that's what Breath of the Wild was to me, and that's what this is as well. Immediately, like I was just like, because as you all the listeners know, I never beat Breath of the Wild. I put a ton of hours into it, but it's just like I just played and played and played in this world as a playground to me. It was a world to live in, and it like see what random strangers you bump into and talk to and interact with, and random side quests and stuff. To the point where I never actually finished it, and other games just came around that I had to play and wanted to play. And so this game, immediately I fell back into like, yes, this is not a game. I am not here to do missions. I'm here to just like live in this world, and I'm loving it.
Just hook the line back up into my arm and let me lay there.
Yes, exactly.
Keep the good stuff rolling on in.
Oh, I'm loving it. My favorite thing.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just real quick going to say my favorite thing to come out of this game so far. And I'd seen little memes here and there about it, but right before we started the show, I saw IGN put out a post about all the Korok hate. Like people like roasting them on a spit and like launching them into space with rockets and stuff. I'm like, what the heck? Like the things you can create in this game, like with this new building mechanic that they added, like absolutely genius, absolutely incredible. But I just love like how people are just like pissed off because it's well deserved, because like in the first game you collect like 800 of them and all they give you is a golden turd or whatever. Like
that's why I'm not bothering with them in this one.
And so in this game it's like no, they deserve it. They deserve every like little piece of. But I know like a lot of people are like, no, I'm not even gonna bother with Korok seeds because of I got gypped in the first game or whatever. I'm really curious if you collect all of them, what the reward's going to be, because honestly, what I would love is if it's actually something super awesome, but they set it up in the first game to be something crappy so that no one will do it. So it'll be like 3 years from now, finally someone's like, well, someone's got to do it. I guess I'll do it. And then it ends up being like it's
like this ultra set of armor.
Yeah, or something crazy. Oh man. That'd be fantastic. That's what I hope happens, is at the end, like after you collect them all, like you actually get something good this time after all the hate they got. But
I'm trying to be really vague about story stuff because A, I'm not really very far into it, and B, I'm assuming the same for anybody who's listening at this point. We're only 4 days out from launch at this. 4 days? Yeah, today makes 4 days, I think, from launch at this point. So,
if you start playing Thursday night,
right,
as us on the West Coast did, you East Coasters, you didn't. You probably had to wait till Friday. But
this game feels a lot more story involved than Breath of the Wild. I am one of the few people who didn't mind that there wasn't a whole lot of overt story in Breath of the Wild, because the lore was all over the world itself. If you go and look for it, like there was people with journals all over the place, especially in like from the starting area to Hyrule Castle itself, there was journals everywhere. Even Zelda had her own journal that you could find and read, about stuff that was going on. You had Link's memories in the first one that you can go and kind of get context about what happened. Even the architecture and how, bad everything is beat up and all the what do they call those things? Guardian parts scattered all over the land. That tells you that there was a big conflict. You have to look into it. You have to go find the lore, but it's there.
Yeah.
But I think Tears of the Kingdom assumes that you already know all that backstory now. So now we can just tell you a story or tell you the rest of the story instead of you going to find all of it.
Right. Like, okay, we're in this world. You already know some backstory. Now we can
keep going
and even dig deeper. Like the premise of the game is even like going deeper. I feel like it's not really spoiling. Deeper into some of the history of Hyrule as well. Like, I mean, as with all their games, they do that with all of them. Like, there's always like some deep connection to like legends past and stuff. So it's
this one feels like it's
okay.
getting ready to do something. Just the way that they've built it up, the magnitude of it.
Yeah.
So this might be one for the books.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be a Game of the Year contender in my book. That's for sure.
Contender, yeah, at this point. The only thing that for me could knock it off would be Final Fantasy. But I'll never know. Oh, no, I'm going to say never know. I won't know for a while because I'll still be playing this by the time Final Fantasy comes out.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to play this Final Fantasy for a while.
Final Fantasy at this point is the only game I think that can knock it off the pedestal for Game of the Year.
I know. I'm trying to think of other 2023 video games that
Hi-Fi
could
Rush
even come
is
close.
still in my top 3. It's not as good as these two, but it's still in my top 3. It's still fantastic.
The only thing I think it could compete, which it was originally a news story, but I took it off.
Don't say Starfield.
No. It was originally a news story tonight, but I took it off. But so we don't even know if it's coming out this year now. It was supposed to, but Silksong.
Oh, yeah.
That was supposed to come out this year, but just got delayed indefinitely. Like, we don't know if this is going to be later this year, or is it not out of this year? But like, that's the only thing I could think of that could contend, only because of just the weight of like
it's mythical at this point.
Yeah, like there's just so much like weight behind that title. Like, is this thing, does it even exist? Like, what is this thing? That's the only thing I could think could contend with the whatchamacallit, Tears of the Kingdom here. So yeah, I don't know.
So far, at this point,
I've heard Dead Island 2 is pretty good too. But
all right, relax. You might as well just go ahead and say Redfall's Game of the Year then too.
Well, that's funny. I just looked down at the chat and Boba Fletch says Starfield and then Redfall.
No shot.
Redfall definitely not. And Starfield,
right. I always say you never want a game to fail, and I don't want Starfield to fail, but there is no universe where Starfield is better than this or Final Fantasy. No shot.
Because, I mean, if anything, like,
it may be great.
I think
won't be Skyrim great, but it may be great.
Just to kind of like temper expectations, like, okay, I'm not going to go not best case or worst case scenario, just like middle case scenario with Starfield. It is like a Fallout 3 or even like a Skyrim, but just in space, just middle of the road. If it is that better than Tears of the Kingdom? Like, no. Like, I would still prefer to play Tears of the Kingdom over, even though Fallout 3 is and Fallout New Vegas are one of some of my top Bethesda games. And I know for some people, Skyrim is like the holy grail.
It's
like
the Fallout 3 equivalent.
The pinnacle of gaming. Even if at middling, it comes out as equal to those, it's still not better than this, like, in my opinion, like, not even close. And even if it's better than those games, is it? I don't know. It would have to do a lot of heavy lifting to even come close to Tears of the Kingdom, even if it is better than Fallout 3 and Skyrim somehow. But
yeah, so it sounded like my 3 for this year are going to be Zelda, Hi-Fi Rush, and Final Fantasy at this point, which is I have no problem with that. All 3 of them. Well, 2 of them I know for sure are great, but the third one I have very high expectations for. So,
Yeah.
And I'll get to it when I get to it because it'll be there.
I know. I'm thinking of like Diablo 4 coming out this year too. I was like
deal.
stoked for
it's
that.
on the back burner.
And it's like, that's going on the back burner, but it's also another huge game. I'm just like, dang it. Like,
you know what though? There's already been people that have played that server or whatever. What is it? The server slam or something like that?
Yeah, server slam or whatever.
And I'm not hearing the best things come out of that either. So I don't foresee that being
but what
tens across the board type of deal.
Yeah, I haven't read anyone's previews, but was there? So I'm asking, I guess, this question: what were the complaints actually like developer gameplay related, or was it more just like server crap?
No, it was like a lot of people had issues with the class balancing, which I guess has been a thing before too as well. Yeah. That they haven't fixed from Diablo 3.
Okay.
I mean, it's Blizzard's game, so they can feel whatever the balance they want to feel is right.
Yeah.
But they changed it from when it was what it was in Diablo 2 to what it was in Diablo 3, and then they haven't changed it from 3 to 4. So they must feel that balancing is right. Or this could just be an early build and they could go back and rebalance some stuff and change it. But that was one of the big complaints that I heard so far coming out of that server slam. So
okay, interesting. Yeah, well, boy,
so you're already not off to a perfect start.
Yeah, not off to a great start. Although, to be honest, like I loved Diablo 3. I thought
it was good too.
I didn't have many issues with Diablo 3. Like I played that so much on PS3 back in the day. Multiplayer with my buddy. There was one Thanksgiving break. Everyone else went home for Thanksgiving, and we stayed at college in the dorm and basically was played for like 5 days straight while everyone else was gone. Like we were the only 2 people in the building. And we're just like,
fire it
Diablo
up.
3.
Let's go.
So good. But so I mean, honestly, I just having like a graphically like just a higher fidelity Diablo 3, I'd be happy, to be honest.
Sounds like I got some good news for you then.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm ready to go play some more Tears of the Kingdom. So let's wrap this show up here. Thank you guys all so much for listening. We appreciate each and every one of you who take the time to catch us live over at twitch.tv/the Super Gamer Boys. Listen on podcast services all around the world. Any app, just search for us. We're pretty much on all of them as far as I know. And if we're not, let me know. youtube.com/Super Gamer Boys as well. You can watch our podcast, see our Adrian's beautiful face. You can see my ugly mug too. But think about subscribing over there because it's free. You can subscribe on YouTube for free and it helps grow our channel. Make sure to throw a like on the video as well. Any little interaction helps. So a like, a quick comment, just saying like, hey dudes, what's going on? Like it doesn't even have to be like anything good. Just say something. I don't care. Just say hi. Go into the comments and just write Fortnite is overrated,
or don't.
No, do that because that'll get more people who watch our video. They're gonna see that comment and
you need to clip that out and put that. Oh boy,
everyone
will come for you.
Everyone will immediately dive on our video, not to watch the video, but to argue in the comments. But that'll help our video because it'll get all this. So do it.
You need to make it short.
Someone's talk about, I need to make a TikTok just to talk about of this right here or earlier in the show. And I say Fortnite's overrated just to get people to come flame us. Because you know what? Any press is good press. That's what they say. Patreon.com/Super Gamer Boys. You can support us over there. Starting at just $1 a month. Get episodes early and ad free. Think about supporting us there because it helps us buy games to talk about in the show, like Tears of the Kingdom, or helping with Steam Deck purchases, or when PlayStation or when Adrian got set up with his PS5, it helped us get a bunch of bulk up our library, so we actually have fun things to talk about on the show. So patreon.com/Super Gamer Boys. You can also support us by going to sgbstore.com, buy some sweet merch like t-shirts and stickers and mugs and the like, and then you can show off to your friends all your sweet merch as well. w.gg. Remember to use our code SGB to get 10% off. Shout out to Jack Sriracha and Yate once again for allowing us to use their music on our show. Remember, listen to them on Apple Music and Spotify. Everyone has a music subscription nowadays, so use it and listen to them. They are fantastic, and they have more than just instrumental tracks here. I think that I've only picked instrumental tracks for the background music. They have a whole variety of just different stuff that they make, and it's all very, very good. You can find us during the week at supergamerboys.com, Twitter and Instagram at supergamerboys. I'm over on Twitter and Instagram at gmorlang. Adrian, where can they find you at?
You can find me any and everywhere at Homeboy.
And you can also find us in Hyrule, running around with our buddy Link. So, Adrian, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, no long outro tonight. Thank you guys for listening. I need to go play Zelda. We are the Super Gamer Boys.
And we will catch you on the flippity flop.
All right, good. We're done. Bye.
All right, peace. We're out.